The year, 1956, Antoine Fats Domino found his thrill on Blueberry Hill. We found our thrill too, and it's bringing to you this installment of Ppd-Tv. We have some that was a great segue. I mean, come on. we have some amazing guests. They are experts in their field. We are excited to bring them to you. So sit back and get ready for this thrilling episode of Ppd-Tv. Welcome to this edition of Ppd-Tv. I'm Staff Inspector Sekou Kennebrew.
And I'm Inspector Altavis Love Craighead.
We have a great show today.
Yes, we do.
Yep. Oh, by the way, you know we've talked about this before, that the first broadcast of this show airs on LaSalle Channel at 11:30 p.m., which means we go head-to-head against The Tonight Show. We do. Well, look, I'm here to tell you.
Do we outperform them,
Well,
though?
that's what I'm getting to. The
Okay.
ratings are in for the last episode.
Okay.
Too close to call.
Okay.
All right, the statistical tie and key demographics. So I mean, you know, we're moving up the charts.
So we still got to work on it.
We still got work
All
to
right,
do.
I can do that.
All right. So anyway, we have some amazing guests today. But first, how about Commissioner Outlaw?
How about it?
She has taken the helm.
Yes.
And is off to the races.
And already making changes. You know, I had the opportunity to meet her
Yeah.
first day. She did a video with me that I could share with my family. She said hi to my family and friends. She's awesome.
The only video she did with me was on the news.
Sorry.
That is great. No, we're excited. We are so excited about her being here. And today we are excited about our thrilling guests, the
Yes.
experts in their field.
Yes.
We have from the crime scene unit, and yes, my longtime dear friend
Oh,
who I go way
Jesus.
back with, Brother Ed Fiddler.
And we also have an officer, John Castro, from the Graphic Arts Unit. He helps find the missing, he identifies the found, and he actually honors fallen officers.
Yes, he does. Amazingly talented folks. And we'll start with Ed Fiddler. Officer Ed Fiddler is assigned right now to the crime scene unit. Welcome to the big comfy couch.
How are you?
Very good. Thank you for letting me be here.
That's
And
good.
thank you for joining us, Ed. You and I, we do. I mean, me and Altavis have this
Northwest.
running joke, but we go so far back.
Who
Northwest
does he
days.
not
Yeah,
go back
yes,
with?
I pick people that
You handle my job.
No, when I first met you, were in the 35th, so
Yep.
you're home, right?
Yeah, it's my home,
You know what I mean?
35th.
And I was a detective in North, and you were an amazing police officer.
Thank you.
You were awesome. Your squad was awesome.
Thanks.
Your partner was
Who's
awesome.
the captain of the
Who's the
14th
captain
now?
of the 14th? Yep, Nick Smith. So,
Yeah.
So what do you do now?
I process crime scenes. Yes.
So walk me through this. You were a patrol officer in the 35th.
Yes.
Did you already have aspirations to do this? Did it kind of fall in your lap? Do you have prior experience, from before being a police officer and this type of thing?
Actually, coming out of high school, I went to art school for a little bit.
Oh.
I actually went to the same art school that Johnny went to, Hushin School of Art,
Okay.
which is a commercial art school.
Okay.
And I didn't finish, but I took some commercial art and photography classes. And after being in the 35th for a while, I had an opportunity to leave. And Lieutenant Jack Feynman at the time asked me if I wanted to come to crime scene. I had no idea what they did, really, And I went down, I saw they used the camera a lot, and kind of clicked.
Yep.
And I found a home.
So start me here, though. This ain't something that you just say, I want to be in the crime scene unit,
Yeah.
and you just show up one day in the crime scene unit. You are sufficiently trained
Yes.
for this.
Yes.
Can you talk about what it takes to even get, because you're detailed your first, 2 years?
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
talk
now-
about that.
Yeah, actually, when I got there, I was lucky. It was a little different. Literally, my first couple weeks there, I was actually thrown right into the fire.
Okay.
But let me stop you, because detail means you're not permanent.
Exactly.
And so that means they test you out first.
Kind of, yes,
Right,
yes.
okay.
But people there were so good, all my whole career, I've had the best bosses. I really have, and I've been so lucky. And okay, just for getting there, my first couple of years, I had schooling at the Henry Lee School. I remember Dr. Lee from the OJ case.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's in New Haven, Connecticut. Had FBI Quantico training, and when I'm on the stand, I always tell people some of the best training I ever had. People I work with, they have so much experience.
So tell me about the types of things you have to learn. I mean, it's so much when we talk about forensic science and things like that. It's very scientific. I mean, this is math, physics, geometry, all that stuff.
Well, right now, because we're accredited,
Yep.
and I believe we are the largest accredited crime scene unit in the country. NYPD is close to getting there, but I don't think they're accredited yet. So that changed a lot of things the last couple of years.
So how many members are there in your unit?
There's, I think, 23 detailed in, or not detailed, assigned, but there's about 16 of us that actually handle jobs.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what do the other ones do?
There's some are admin, training, things
Okay,
like that.
okay.
So
And you guys, when you come out, you usually come out as a team, right?
always two. Yes.
Okay.
Always two.
And you already have prescribed roles. You do
Yes,
the
there's a
one thing,
person
the
that's
other thing.
assigned who will have the camera and take all the photographs.
So you got your prop.
He's got my prop. And then the assistant, who actually does a lot of work, actually, taking on the notes when you come back, organizing everything out. But as we get to the scene, we go to the detective, confer with him, and they give us basically a synopsis of what happened.
All right. So walk me through it. So first of all, let's make a distinction here because you're an indispensable component to the investigation process, to investigations.
Yes.
But can you just explain for everyone watching that may not know, what's the difference between what you do and what the actual assigned detective does?
And I was going to say, because you and I both were
Yes, we were
detectives,
detectives.
so we know the beginning role of it, and then you
Yes.
guys come in.
So if it might result in death, and if it is a homicide, we would automatically come out to do the scene. We also do anything that's a police discharge.
Yep.
Even if
Yes.
an officer accidentally, we've had people shoot their washers by accident.
Wow.
So it's a
Was
discharge.
the washer agitated?
I think I set you up for that one. I'm like,
I thought it was hilarious. I'm just kidding.
Tonight Show role, right? But yeah, so we would do something like that as well.
So let me ask you, because people watch TV and they, there's shows, the crime scene shows, and a lot of police shows, and people think that what happens on TV happens in real life. Can you tell us what the differences are?
I think lawyers will say that, and doctors will say, seeing elsewhere is not like what a real hospital's like, and LA law is not like what lawyers are like. So with us, there's actually a thing called the CSI effect. And because of that show, people expect what they get on TV, a fingerprint all the time. DNA within, before they even head back to headquarters, DNA is done, we know this person. So it puts expectations that aren't realistic to our job.
Right, right.
So walk me through a typical call for service. Usually the first responding officers are out there, and possibly even the first set of detectives are out there. You get the call, what do you do?
I'll tell you one thing, some of the cops that are on the scene first do a really good job looking at evidence.
Yeah.
They really do. I mean, I'm there longer and I have some, a little bit better knowledge of how things eject from the gun or different things like that. But they mark things out, and I tell you, first responders that are on the scene do a really good job. But I would meet with the detective and he would tell us what basically he thinks happened, or they might be looking for video, and then we just go and we process the scene.
So you look for fingerprints. You might be looking for bullets, DNA,
Physical evidence.
physical evidence.
But we're always going to photograph what we do first, and sometimes video as well.
Has there been anything unusual that you've had to look for as far as evidence? Anything that stands out, or something that's different that you don't see regularly?
That you can say on TV?
That you can say on TV?
Yeah, it's actually, we've been to so many different things. The duck boat. When the duck boat got sank, we actually went out and pulled the boat out of the water and helped process that. We've done the Amtrak crash, the 30th Street, the building collapse, the Salvation Army. We went out on that.
Wow.
So actually, that was a day where I heard that come over the TV, and I actually just ran out and didn't do much at first, but we had work clothes, so I handed out work clothes, and then afterwards, I was able to help document the scene.
Right.
And that actually goes to something about not every scene is the same. I mean,
No.
you guys have to do it. It doesn't matter if it's raining, right? If
Yeah,
it's,
oh, yeah.
Snow, cold.
And then sometimes you get malfunctions with the camera or the snow or water or whatever else. But it's almost like sometimes we have our forms and they want to do drop boxes like click on ag assault, click on rape, click on this. There's so many things, there's something that we could do and we've never done before even.
Yep. And also sometimes you arrive where there's maybe destruction associated with the crime itself, but the physical structure that you're processing is still intact. But then if you look at the Salvation Army catastrophe, that's one where you have to do your job, but your physical structure is not intact anymore, but you still have to do the same things. Am I right on
Yeah,
that?
by the time I started there on the Salvation Army, I got there, I don't know, let's say 11:30 a.m., it was held into the night, and they're still finding bodies later into the night, just like the Amtrak. I didn't respond the original day, but after, I think, a day 2 or day 3, we were able to overturn one of the cars, and unfortunately, there's still a person inside.
How do you navigate the emotional toll on you seeing? Because you get, I mean, you know, we always say we see the worst of the worst, but you get the really up close and personal. How do you navigate that?
Well, that's where the other thing I do a lot with my photos I do on Flickr, and I should take photographs of the police department. So I always try to show people, you know, the cops, the human side of cops, and being an officer. Like you guys are always in the news, but the average officer doesn't always get a photograph of himself, you know, like on a scene or on the news. So they might retire and they're looking back at their academy glasses, you know, photos. So I like to have this little, you know, photographs and share it around, either tweet it or give it to them themselves.
You mentioned Flickr, because I'm a novice photographer. So is that open for public view? Your
Yes.
Flickr account?
Yes.
What is it?
Flickr is part of Yahoo. It's Flickr. But if you were to just Google the word Philly Cop, Phillycop, automatically in the search, you'll see Ed Fiddler Flickr.
Okay.
And you click on that, I have like over 10,000 photographs
Okay.
of
Do
the
you
police
do
department.
photographs of scenes other than
No, I
police
keep-
department?
yeah.
Just you keep it right
Yes,
to police?
it's all pretty much positive police stuff.
Okay.
Occasionally I might do something where, like, kind of like a ride-along situation where someone might be doing a car stop, and I won't put the person in the car stop there, just the officers doing their job.
Okay. Wow.
So we're done the crime scene, and now the investigators have done what they need to do. They've identified the suspect, they've made an arrest, and it's time for court. I know how important it is what you do on the scene. How important is it to make sure everything was right there for presentation in court?
Exactly. I'm always thinking this is my one shot to get this. So I'm making sure I get the photo. And also, I try to play Steven Spielberg. I want to tell a story. You know, I want to have my opening shot, my mid-range shots, my close-ups. I always try to think of an older like Polish woman in Bridesburg. She has no idea what 50-second market looks like. So I want to be able to tell that story.
Exactly. And, you know, we talked about the CSI effect, but, you know, the reality is there's an expectation when you get to court that what you're presenting is the objective, reliable, scientific truth. So you have to make sure that,
Yes.
you know, that you brought your A game when you're out in the field.
Yeah, I always say, like, I have no horse in a race, no horse in the race. I'm there, I'm taking my photographs. I don't know who the person was that got locked up or anything else. I'm just telling, basically, and try to be unbiased and tell the story.
Yep. And you've become a bit of a celebrity because I feel requests for you, not just for the crime scene, and not detracting from anyone else, but I get specific requests for Officer Ed Fiddler from local, state, and international publications. We talked about one before we.
Yes.
For trainings or
that too, but to document his work.
presentations or to document his work? Wow.
To follow him, he's working on one now. I don't want to spill the beans, but someone's trailing him now from a national publication documenting what he does day to day. So
Wow, that's
you're
awesome.
an ambassador for what we do.
Thanks.
We're so happy that you were able to come out and
Proud of
join
the
us.
department, you know.
Yep.
Yeah.
I really believe we're the best police department.
Thank you so much.
Well, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
And I would love to bring you back here sometime down the pike,
Okay.
just to catch up with you again. I know I'm going to see you out in the field as we always do.
Yes, sir.
And guys, we do have Johnny Castro is coming up next. And before he joins us here on the big comfy couch, we want to give you an opportunity to get to know Officer Castro. So why don't you sit back and watch what we have, and that'll let you know who Officer Castro is and what he does.
Yeah, that's fine. All right, you got it. My name's Johnny Castro, and I'm a Philadelphia police graphic artist. These are just some of the composites that I've done. So it's the same process with every feature. The forensic aspect of it, we do the drawings of the suspect. They'll have a victim or a witness that has seen a suspect. They'll bring them down here, and then I have a method that I'll go over with them where they pick out facial features, with the way the eyes look, the nose look, the mouth look, the shape of the head. It's kind of like a speed drawing almost. And I always start with the eyes. I think they're the easiest thing to do. Kind of came natural to me. I've always been good at drawing portraits.
What else do you do?
I do portraits of officers that are killed in the line of duty. I have them all kind of in a portfolio all together. This year I'm trying to do every single officer, which it's kind of tough. I mean, as I'm doing one, you just hear the news that another one passed away. I always start with the head first and kind of add the uniform. You can make it look like a pencil, a paintbrush. This is a portrait of a sheriff's deputy from North Dakota. He was shot and killed by a suspect after a vehicle pursuit. There's thousands of cops out there right now, just, you know, sitting in their cars, not knowing what's going to happen next. Fit it the way that, you know, the uniform would look. I just want to make sure that my finished portrait of them is the way that they remember them. I can't speak for everybody, but I think being a police officer is the best job in the world.
Welcome back to Ppd-Tv. Wasn't that great with Ed?
That was great.
Awesome, awesome.
I didn't know he did so much off the job.
He does. He really does. Like I said, he's an ambassador to our profession and to this department. And speaking of which, equally as capable, equally as proficient, equally as an ambassador, we'll talk about some of the stuff you do that represents us to other departments. We have Officer Johnny Castro.
Now, how do you know him?
I just met him. Do you even work here? Like, I mean, really? No, you should know him longer. He was in the 16th. Weren't you in the 16th?
I was in the 18th.
18th. Okay, well, Wild West. All right.
Yeah, I don't think not when I was there. I don't believe so. Yeah.
Well, who are you?
Who are you?
No, Johnny Castro, actually, no, we work in the same building. I got to know him. I didn't know him as long as I've known Ed, but I mean, amazing. I knew his work because your work precedes you pretty much everywhere you go because you're down in the basement, but you are grinding and getting it done, man. Welcome to the Big Comfy Couch. It is a pleasure to have you here. I'm so glad you're able to make times. I know, you know, the time and travel, and you always have a busy workload because you're in high demand. So welcome aboard, and just like we did with Officer Fiddler, you didn't just come out of nowhere. You were a police officer first, but something happened, I don't know, and you ended up in the position that you're in now. So talk to me about the beginning of your career, and then we'll get to what you do now.
My name is Police Officer Johnny Castro. I was assigned to the Graphic Arts Unit. I became a cop in 2006. Just came back from the Army, the deployment to Iraq.
Okay.
As soon as I came home, I applied for the job, got the job. Mm-hmm. Did almost 10 years, 9 years, mm-hmm. 9+ years out in West Philly in the 18th District. I know one day I was just like, maybe I should apply to become a forensic composite sketch artist mm-hmm. because I went to college for art, but I never did anything with art. So I applied for it, and I never heard anything. And then a year later, I just got the call, and they were like, you start Monday. So
is that when Scratch was retiring?
It was. It was actually the day after Scratch retired. Okay. They were like, hey, you start on Monday. So
wow. So you did answer the next question. Well, I was going to say, how do you know how to draw like that? But you
yeah,
went to school.
I did. I went to the same school as Ed, Hushin School of Art.
Okay.
I did 1 year graphic design, but 9/11 happened, and I just decided to join the Army instead, and did that, and now I'm here. So
I think most of us know you from your work.
Yep.
When I say most of us, commanders, because we often will ask your unit to print things for us or design things for us. But what does graphic arts do?
We actually do a lot of stuff. We do pretty much all the printing for the department. We design posters, we design logos, stickers, we decal the police cars. Cars come in, they're just a white Ford Taurus, Ford Explorer. We put all the decals on it to make it look like a cop car. We also do the composite sketches of the suspects. So there's 3 of us assigned to the unit. One of the guys, he strictly does the police cars, and myself and Lieutenant Rocket, we do everything else.
So that reminds me that we had our first LGBTQ Pride Parade car.
Yes.
And you helped design that and put the logos and all of the decals on them.
Yeah, going back and forth, trying to figure out what everybody liked, and then once everybody approved it, we printed them up, went on, and apparently everybody liked it. So
yeah, it went over well.
Right. So I understand there's a gift that you got from your wife. Tell us about that gift. And I think it was a challenging gift.
She got me a lot of gifts. What which one is it?
Something related to artwork.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah. She bought me. I didn't know anything about the digital art. She bought me everything, the whole setup, the laptop, the display tablet, and she just told me to keep with it. So I didn't know. I was just drawing, making lines and everything, but I would watch YouTube videos on how to actually paint portraits. Like I already knew how to draw portraits, I didn't know how to paint portraits, but once I started doing them over and over again, I started to get the hang of it. So that's how I started doing these portraits of the fallen officers. So.
Is she an artist as well?
She's a photographer, a wedding photographer.
Oh,
so
that's an art.
yeah, she's very skilled in the same programs I use, just we do it for two different things.
So before we transition into your work with the fallen officers and like I said, your ambassadorship, one of the things we talked about with Ed is how what he does is so indispensable, it's so invaluable in supporting the efforts of investigators. We touched a little briefly on the fact that you do composite sketches. In your work, can't say enough about how that assists in the further investigations, particularly very sensitive cases, SVU cases. In your experience, how have you been able to manage that and to be of such great assistance to our investigators?
I just would read books on it. I didn't have any training in it when I came down there. So the only thing they wanted me to do in the application process was do a sketch of a suspect. So I did it, and that was the only training I had. But then when I went down there, homicide investigators would come down, or SVU would come down and ask me to do a sketch. So I basically had to learn as I went. But it is, it's a tool that's not really used often, and I wish more people would come down for it. It's just they don't need it as much with cameras and DNA and pinging cell phones, and they just don't need me as much as I wish they would.
Well, when they do, I'm glad you're there because I've watched you draw.
I got a dying question.
Yes.
So you do the composites. What I've always wanted to know, how do you talk people through it? If I was a victim and you wanted me to tell you how my suspect looked, how would you walk me through that? If I'm emotional, I'm upset, how does that work?
Before you even start, you kind of get down on their level and just make them feel comfortable talking to you. Asking their name. I have a lot of stuff in my office, visual stuff, toys and stuff I collect. So a lot of people talk to me about that when they come down, and I try to relate to them a little bit before we get started. So the more comfortable they are, the more likely they're going to open up to you about what they remember.
Right.
Well, running a little low on time, but we'd be remiss if we didn't get into some of the work you've done for departments all across the world with your memorialization of fallen officers. I know you've been sought after. I fielded, just like for Ed, I fielded requests for you from national, international outlets. And I have spoken to people and just how what you do and your talent helps ease people through such a tough grieving time. Talk about that a little bit and how you're able to do that and capture it so well and the impact that you know it has.
I didn't expect it to take off as much as it did, but to date, within 4 years, I've done 570 portraits of fallen officers, firefighters, soldiers, canines, victims of crime. So once I'm done, these get shipped out to their families, their departments, and they're really appreciative of it. So they love it.
What's the farthest they've gone?
Australia, Great Britain, France.
Wow.
Paris, it's Canada. It's mostly national, but there have been several international ones.
It's amazing.
Amazing. We always find ourselves low on time. One of these days we'll bring you back too, and next time we bring you back, I want to have you bring some of your stuff with you so we can take a look at it. But your stuff, plug your website, your social media. How do we see some of your stuff?
It's Johnny Castro Art, no H, Johnny Castro Art, Facebook, Instagram. It's where I post all the portraits of the fallen.
Good. Check him out. You're going to love it if you haven't seen it. Most of us, like I said, knew your work before we got a chance and the pleasure of knowing you. So thanks for joining us, and we would love to have you back sometime soon.
Thank you very much.
Our championship tag team partner, Sergeant Eric Grip, is not here, but he is apparently...
He's always here in spirit.
Yes, he's apparently in a remote, undisclosed location with some sort of message that we hope you're going to enjoy.
Hi, everyone. I'm Sergeant Eric Grip, and welcome to Sergeant Eric Grip's Social Media Corner. Why is it called that? Get this. I do social media, and my office is in a corner. Brilliant, right? Normally, I talk about the latest trends in social media and things that we want people to look out for. But today, something really got my attention. I was reading the newspaper because that's the high-tech kind of guy that I am. See, this was called the dud of winter. Because here we are, near the end of February, and we still haven't had a major snowstorm. And you know what that means? That means I've been out of business. What's my business? Savesies. You know what they are. We're talking about it snows, your car gets buried. So what do? You shovel it out. You gotta go somewhere, but while you're on your way, you put something in that space because you don't want somebody to take it. Maybe it's a cone, maybe it's a lawn chair. You put something in there and it's illegal. Well, here's the thing. My entire shtick is no savesies. So with this winter being a dud, I'm being exposed for the dud that I am. I had all of these great memes ready to go to educate Philadelphians that it is illegal to save parking spots. I mean, I Googled this guy Post Malone. Apparently he's a thing. I had something ready to go with him. Can't use that anymore. Oh, and who remembers the Aguilar guy? Remember, unlike Aguilar, because, you know, Nelson Aguilar drops all those footballs, I had something ready to go with him, but can't use that now. That's gone, and so's maybe Nelson Aguilar. Anyway, thanks for the Super Bowl. In any event, I'm glad to see that Savesies has been down this year, but it's only been because there's been a total lack of snow. All right, so listen, in the outside event that there is a significant snowfall this year, and I hope there is because I need to do something to show that I'm worth my salary. Please, we're begging you. When you leave your parking spot, don't put anything in it. Shovel and share, that's what we say. And I know what you're thinking. Don't you cops have anything better to do than to worry about people saving parking spots? Yes, we do. Well, not me, but the cops that work the street. They have much more important things to do. But we'd much rather deal with having to get a phone call about moving an item in a parking spot than have to deal with a vandalism afterwards, a fight, or sometimes worse. So listen, if you see somebody that's saving parking spots, call 911, let us be the bad guys. We'll go out and get it. It's not worth getting into a fight over. It's not worth losing your property over. It's just not worth it. And now, back to the studio with the inspectors, Kinnebrew and Craighead.
That was, of course, the inimitable Sergeant Eric Gribb.
He's so funny.
He's quite a card. So I don't know how to put up with him for 8 hours, 12 hours a day.
Yeah, that's right, because you work in the same office.
Yes, yeah, we're caged together. But this has been a fantastic show.
It has.
I mean, I really love the guests that we're able to have out here and for them to be able to avail to us their expertise in their fields. I know we oftentimes have commanders, we've had officers that double with their community relations and engagement stuff, but to have true pure experts in what they do.
And I'm really impressed by their work.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We can't wait for you to join us again for the next episode of Ppd-Tv in March. Take care.